Hi, my name is Joseph, and today I want to discuss Digimon Savers, which ran from April 2nd, 2006, and ended on March 25th, 2007. So, right off the bat, I want to make it clear that I watched the subbed, not the dubbed version. And I have to say, I really did enjoy Digimon Savers. This was my first time watching it. I did not watch it when I was young. I did watch segments of episodes here and there, but I never sat down and watched an whole episode. And to be frank with everyone, I was the type of Digimon fan that did dismiss not just Savers, but also Digimon Frontier as well. But within this year, for the first time, I saw not just Savers, but also Frontier. And I'm not to say, although Frontier's quality is definitely the weakest, in my opinion, of all the Digimon series, the original Digimon series, I'm not to say I think Digimon Savers, it might possibly be my favorite Digimon season, again, from the original series. I've yet to have seen Appmon or Digimon Ghost Game. I am planning to do that eventually. But yes, what did I enjoy so much about Digimon Savers? Not to be completely honest, and it's going to be the characters, the characterization of the main cast of Masaru, Toma, Yushino, and then eventually Ikuto. And I'm not gonna lie, I also was a huge fan of the side characters as well, of Satsuma and oh man, excuse me everyone, I should have because I do want to mention them, even though they may seem like they're really minor characters. But Miki Kurosaki, and then in addition to that, oh no, they don't have her name. Oh, here we go. Sorry, Miki Kurosaki and Megami Surakawa, who were the Digimon tamers for the Pawn Chessmon. They worked with the Data Squad with Satsuma. And Digimon Savers also contains what I have to say is probably the best Digimon villain in the series, Professor Kuroda, who was an individual who has no redemption arc. So there will be spoilers for this video. But essentially, what I like so much about Kuroda's character is the fact that he was so selfish and so focused on his ambitions and goals that he didn't realize that he was committing genocide. He was literally, unfortunately, killing Digimon. And if one is a Digimon fan, they're probably used to the idea that, well, Digimon can't really die because when they are quote unquote killed, their data is recollected and they go back into a Digi egg. Well, what Kuroda was doing in this season, in this series, was that he created Digimon based on experiments of. So let me start over. He created artificial Digimon based on experimentation on real Digimon to go out and kill Digimon living in the digital world. So quite literally, when they got attacked, not only were they deleted, but their data was also deleted, thus preventing any form of rebirth. And it was actually, the show did such a great job of showing us characters like Morikurimon, and unfortunately I can't recall his name, but that one Digimon who served as a home, he was a holy land essentially. That was really sad when Kuroda deleted him. This season really had a lot of times where one felt like they were fighting beyond just for themselves. Let me rephrase that, because in all of Digimon there's always that element of they're not just fighting for themselves, they're fighting for their community and the rest of the world as well. And that's true for Savers, but what I appreciated so much about it was just how much more personal it felt. We have Toma, who the reason why he became a highly educated individual was because of his sister's illness. We have Masaru, who the reason why he acts the way that he does is because of the lessons that his dad had taught him. And again, spoilers, but I love how in the ending of Savers, Masaru is the only one who ends up sticking with the Digimon. And that was the perfect ending for Masaru, because that's just so Masaru. I am the individual who does acknowledge the importance of education, but Masaru, I would argue, he is learning by living within the digital world, and when he finally does return to the human world, he's not going to ignore his studies. He's going to go back into academia and share what he's learned from the digital world and merge that with real world knowledge. And I know I'm just deducing and creating my own headcanon about that, but again, I just can't help but feel that that's what will occur because of Masaru's character, the characterization that the show built up for him. And then we have Yoshino's, I loved her. So this is talking about the ending. Let's just go ahead and talk about the endings for all the characters, the epilogue. I love Yoshino's ending as well. It was so cute how Lalamon, she was keeping Yoshino in mind. And she wanted to make sure she could protect and defend herself. I love how Yoshino became a lot more independent and utilizing her agency. She now became a member of Data Squad, and so she's an officer. And one might say, well, who cares about that? She's an officer, whoopie-doo, right? But one needs to keep in mind that in order to be an officer, you're gonna have to, well, speak to other people, highlight things that other people are doing, right? And at the beginning of the season, it was implied that Yoshina kind of struggled with that, but she has no qualms about that whatsoever because she knows how to utilize her strengths, her agency. Toma, I love how it's described that he discovered a cure for his sister, his younger sister, and it's one of those blink and you'll miss it kind of moments. But I love how during the interview that he won a Nobel Prize, and during his interview, his younger sister is standing beside him, and she's no longer wearing a hospital gown or any she looks fashionable, and I thought that was really cute. Really showing that relationship between Toma and his sister. Again, I'm always a huge fan when any property, any medium demonstrates love beyond the romantic love. So I really did appreciate that. And then we have the Data Squad. Oh, excuse me, Ikto. I love how he's going to school with Chica. I'm not gonna lie, and I know it's probably gonna sound very traditionalist of me, but I am hoping that Ikto improves his grammar and his speaking skills, and he ends up forming a relationship. I wouldn't mind a romantic relationship with Chica. And then, of course, we got to talk about the adults. I already talked about Satsuma. Well, kind of. He's still in charge of Data Squad, even though they're no longer going... Well, actually, is it Data Squad? They're no longer going into the digital world, so more than likely, he's in charge of just, say, traditional law enforcement. But he is in charge of that, along with Yoshino, Mega Omi, and Miki, who are both still working alongside with him. Oh, all three of them are still working alongside with him. We have the mom and Masuru's dad, who are going to start spending more time with one another. And that makes a lot of sense because Masuru's dad's been missing for quite some time now. And with that being said, I was actually really shocked when Digimon ended up killing Masuru's dad. And I was actually really hopeful that they were going to stick with that death. I love how Masuru's mom... you know what? That's very rude of me. Let me go ahead and... Oh no, these are the English names. Okay, here we go. Saru. I didn't want to use her English name. Masuru's mom, Saru Damon. I love how when it's implied that her husband did die, she does not break down. She's accepting of that news. She was a really strong mother figure. And I think that's not quite common in a lot of shows, especially anime. And I really did appreciate Saru's I'm not pronouncing that correctly, am I? Saruri's characterization. And I think it's quite telling that at the end of the show, although Sauru was a little bit, what's the word? Was a little bit concerned about Masaru going to the digital world. I love how she didn't try to stop him. And I think she would agree with her husband. Let me show him the same respect. What is his name? The husband's name? Damon Masaru. No, I think that's his last name. Anyway, I'm sorry, everyone. Thank you for your patience, though. But, oh, gosh. Anyways, it's fine. I'm just going to call him Masuru's dad, or Professor Damon, who's also a researcher just like Professor Crota. But I love how they're able to work together and they don't try to stop Masaru from doing what he wants to do. Yeah, so all in all, what I just really appreciate about Digimon Savers was the fact that the adult characters were not sidelined for the younger characters. I love how they were working together in unison. All the villains was great. When he mentioned Kuroda, but I also did really enjoy the bio Digimon that he created with individuals that obviously they had their own personal issues, and they turned out to not just be straight up villainous individuals, but they had personal reasons to why they were working with Professor Crota. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought they did die, but it was also somehow in the epilogue, they were not even the epilogue, excuse me, during the finale, they were helping the main cast to fight against Yggdrasil, who was the god of Digimon. I haven't even mentioned Yggdrasil. That's how much Kuroda really does overshadow as a villain. So essentially, who are the villains of Digimon Savers? It begins with just Monster of the Week episodes. And I'm not going to lie, that part is a little bit tedious, but tedious is the wrong word. It does feel a little bit like, what's the point? What's going on? I'm enjoying the characterization, but what's the story? But once the story does kick off, it is really intriguing and really interesting. And although it's obvious at some points, the one needs to keep in mind that Digimon is a child property, and I know one would argue, well, so is Avatar, The Last Airbender, so is things like Beast Wars, which I would argue contains Gargoyles. I would argue contains, although they're kids shows, they contain mature elements. I would also have to remind the audience that not only is this a child's property, but it's also an anime, a child's property that's an anime. And again, I think that's what really elevates Digimon Savers is the fact that although it is obvious in today's time, the fact that they were doing this during 2006 and 2007 really just is part of the reason why one is able to rewatch Digimon and it still holds up really well. This is also true for the other seasons as well, except for maybe Frontier. But for Adventure 1, Adventure 2, and Tamers, I would definitely agree with that sentiment too. So would I recommend Digimon Savers? Yes, I really would. If one is aware of negative opinions, keep in mind that it's more than likely coming from individuals who have not seen Digimon Savers yet. And if you go in with an open mind, I truly believe that this might end up being one's favorite Digimon series. And not because the other ones are bad, it's just because this one does what the previous seasons have done, and it refines it. I believe that's more than likely why they're utilizing older characters, because they realize they've been the writers, but we've already told the stories that we can tell with younger characters. It's time to move on now and utilize a different age set. And that's again part of the reason why this really makes Digimon Savers stand out. Not just the child cast. I'm not gonna say child because they're not children. Not just the teenage cast, but also the adult cast. And what I'm saying, it kind of implies. I hope it doesn't sound like in the previous seasons the adults had no role. That's something I really do love about Digimon. How in Tamers, Adventure 1 and Adventure 2, not so much in Frontier, I love how the adults they play a role within the story. That's awesome. I'll just argue though that with Savers, they do have a bigger role than they typically do. But again, in the previous seasons, excluding Frontier, the adults always did have some sort of role. Have you seen Digimon Savers? Have you not? Please let me know your opinions. Before I finish, an aspect I do want to talk about are the Royal Knights. I really did appreciate how the real antagonist was just mostly Professor Kuroda and then Yggdrasil. And even with Yggdrasil, it was only because of the actions that humans did that Yggdrasil reacted in the way that he did, the way that they did. They were trying to protect Digimon, but they were just too stubborn and absolute in the way that they were doing it, not taking into account that although yes, humans they are destructive, when humans are willing to put their minds to it, we could also be very supportive. And I did really appreciate that. So yeah, all in all, would I recommend Digimon Savers? Yes, I really would. Please ignore any negative opinions one may have. This was a amazing season. I'm more than likely going to rewatch it after some time has passed, but I'm going to rewatch it in English. Excuse me, that was a hiccup. I'm going to rewatch it dubbed, just because I want to make sure. Because I want to have that experience. Same thing with Digimon Frontier as well. Eventually, I'll rewatch it dubbed. Thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it. If you have seen Digimon Savers, please share your opinions and your thoughts with me in the comments down below or via a personal message. Have a prodigious day and take care.